Sally Field truly hated him more than anyone. Those words, sharp and honest, came from a woman who spent her entire life balancing the grace of stardom with the raw truth of being human. Born Sally Margaret Field on November 6, 1946, in Pasadena, California, she grew up in a home touched by Hollywood but shadowed by emotional turbulence. Her mother, Margaret Field, was an actress, and her stepfather, Jock Mahoney, a stuntman and actor, brought both glamour and chaos into her young life. Sally was shy, insecure, and often lost in the noise of a blended family. Yet beneath that quiet exterior, there was a spark, a natural charm and authenticity that would later light up millions of screens. Her journey into show business began soon after high school, and it wasn't long before the world met her as the sunny, surf-loving teenager in Gidget. The show ran only one season, but Sally's energy was magnetic. She became a symbol of youthful innocence and enthusiasm. Then came The Flying Nun in 1967, the quirky sitcom that made her a household name. Dressed in a habit and soaring through the air, she made people laugh, but inside she felt trapped. Hollywood saw her as the cute girl, but she wanted to be something more, serious, emotional, and real. That internal struggle became the turning point of her life. Determined to break free from the stereotypes, Sally studied with acting legend Lee Strasberg at the Actors Studio, an experience that reshaped her entirely. She dug deep into emotion, learning to channel pain into art. This transformation culminated in her breakthrough performance in Sybil, 1976, where she played a young woman suffering from dissociative identity disorder. It was a role of immense complexity and vulnerability, and Sally poured every piece of herself into it. The result was astonishing. She won an Emmy and earned the respect she had long craved. Hollywood finally saw her as more than a perky TV face. Just a few years later, she solidified that new image with Norma Ray, 1979, a story of a Southern textile worker who fights for union rights. Her performance was raw, fiery, and unforgettable. When she accepted the Oscar for Best Actress, her emotional speech, "You like me, you really like me," wasn't vanity. It was relief, validation after years of being underestimated. The 1980s marked her era of unstoppable success. She starred in Places in the Heart, 1984, earning her second Academy Award, and became the emotional anchor of Steel Magnolias, 1989, where she portrayed strength and heartbreak with breathtaking honesty. Yet while her professional life soared, her personal world was full of both love and turmoil. In 1968, she married Stephen Craig and had two sons, Peter and Eli, but the marriage ended in 1975. Still, she remained a devoted mother, her children becoming her anchor in the unpredictable sea of fame. Her romance with Burt Reynolds soon followed, sparking one of Hollywood's most talked-about relationships. Their chemistry was electric, both on and off screen, in films like Smokey and the Bandit, 1977, and The End, 1978. But their passion often clashed with control and pride. Despite their affection, their relationship eventually burned out, leaving both with scars and nostalgia. Burt later called her the love of my life, while Sally, in her memoir In Pieces, revealed a more complicated truth: love shadowed by dominance and emotional strain. After Reynolds, Sally found new stability with film producer Alan Greisman, marrying him in 1984 and welcoming her third son, Sam, in 1987. Her family gave her strength, and her career remained unstoppable. From playing Tom Hanks's loving mother in Forrest Gump, 1994, to her acclaimed performances in Brothers and Sisters and Lincoln, 2012, she became the embodiment of emotional honesty. Even in her 70s, she commanded the screen with grace and courage, proving that talent only deepens with time. But among all her stories of triumph and growth, there is one chapter that stands out for its sheer intensity: her experience working with Tommy Lee Jones. The year was 1981. Sally Field, now an Oscar winner and one of the most respected actresses in Hollywood, had signed on to star in Backroads, a romantic drama alongside Tommy Lee Jones. On paper, it was a promising pairing, two talented, passionate actors with a gift for depth. But once filming began, the chemistry turned volatile. "I have worked with difficult men before," Sally later said, "but Tommy was something else entirely. He was impossible to deal with. I truly hated him more than anyone I'd ever worked with. The tension was real, Not a tabloid rumor, but a clash of personalities and philosophies. Sally approached acting with emotional openness, empathy and collaboration. Jones was intense, brooding and dismissive. A man who demanded control and respect but rarely offered it. Their working styles collided like storms. On set, the air was thick with unspoken hostility. Crew members described long silences, sharp exchanges, and an atmosphere that left everyone on edge. Their roles required intimacy and emotional vulnerability, yet off-camera they could barely stand each other. Sally admitted years later that she didn't have to act angry during their scenes. She was angry. Every look, every line between us was loaded, she said. I wasn't pretending to be furious at him. I was. Tommy's reputation for arrogance and intensity didn't help. He often dismissed others' ideas and treated Sally, already an Oscar-winning actress, as if she had something to prove. He could be condescending, she recalled. He treated me like I didn't know what I was doing, and it was insulting. Still, their animosity strangely worked in the film's favor. Critics praised their chemistry, unaware that the sparks came from genuine resentment, not acting. Sally later confessed she used every ounce of frustration to fuel her performance, turning personal conflict into creative energy. It was cathartic in a strange way, she said. But once the cameras stopped rolling, she was done. I couldn't stand being in the same room with him, she admitted bluntly. Tommy Lee Jones never publicly commented on the feud, keeping his signature silence. But insiders confirmed that his temperament often clashed with strong-willed co-stars. One crew member recalled, Sally gave as good as she got. She didn't back down, and that only made things worse. It was like watching two storms collide. Theirs wasn't a petty argument. It was a battle of respect, ego, and identity. Years later, Sally looked back with a mixture of humor and lingering irritation. I suppose he's a brilliant actor, she said, but that doesn't mean you have to like the person. I didn't. In fact, I hated him. That blunt honesty struck a chord with fans who admired her for refusing to hide behind Hollywood politeness. She made it clear, not every working relationship leads to friendship. People assume actors become friends after filming, she said. That's not always true. Sometimes you just survive it. Backroads remains a small footnote in both of their long careers, remembered less for its story and more for the fierce energy between its leads. Sally Field and Tommy Lee Jones went on to have monumental success, she in Places in the Heart and Steel Magnolias, he in The Fugitive and No Country for Old Men. Yet their brief, explosive collaboration remains a reminder that even the brightest stars can clash when their light burns too hot. For Sally Field, it was another defining experience, not one of triumph or love, but of strength and truth. He may be talented, she once said, but talent doesn't excuse cruelty. I'd rather work with anyone else. That statement, raw and fearless, perfectly captures who she is. A woman who built her career on emotion, integrity, and the courage to speak her mind, no matter how uncomfortable the truth might be. Sally Field's life, with all its highs and heartbreaks, stands as proof that real greatness isn't about fame or awards. It's about being brave enough to be honest, even when the world isn't ready to hear it.